And Kelly radio show presented by TireRack.com. I'm Jack Nolan. The final show of the year, show number 10. He, of course, is Irish head coach Brian Kelly. And this tells you how busy coaches are. That's your mom and dad right there. And the only time I ever see you get to speak to them are before your press conference or before your radio show.
Yeah, and if we lose a game, they come over and chastise me. No, of course not. I don't think I've seen my wife this week either. So, it's football season, We got to win some football games.
And you've been winning, and while the record may not be what you want it to be, your team in terms of progress is where you want it to be in that you just played your best game of the season against Army.
They're playing pretty good. I mean, obviously it took longer than we wanted it to, but a lot of inexperienced players are learning how to play, and they played their most physical game. I mean, they dominated their opponent. That's hard to do at any level, and Army had a couple good wins over Wake Forest and Indiana, and certainly those are, Power 5 teams. And, to dominate our opponent the way we did, it just was that last piece of playing with a demeanor, a physical presence that had been lacking at times. And probably one of the reasons why we weren't able to close out some games is that we didn't have that physical and mental toughness. And they were trying to get there. They just hadn't figured out how to get there, and it all came together. And they've got the makings of being a really good team. I mean, certainly 4-6, you wouldn't say that, but I can see it from the inside out. I know people evaluate on wins and losses, and I get that, and that's fine. But I'm with these guys every single day, and really proud of their development. A lot of the younger players, inexperienced players, in terms of where they've come, and then our seniors. We don't have many of them, but those that we do have kept this football team together. And have done a great job.
It is senior day on Saturday, and because at Notre Dame, academics always supersede athletics. You'll introduce a lot of seniors, but only a few of them are actually playing in their last home game. You have one in offense, one in special teams, 5 on defense, including 4 starters, 2 of whom I know, well, all of them, but 2 in particular, in Isaac Rochelle and James Onwalo, your captains, are 2 of those guys that you've mentioned have helped keep this team together, because the defensive side, offense hasn't been perfect, but the defensive side was where the struggles were and where the dramatic improvement has occurred.
Dramatic. They've gone from 103rd in total defense earlier in the year to, I think, somewhere in the 30s.
39.
And I think they're 15th in the country in pass defense. So that's an incredible turnaround. And it's, obviously the staff has done a great job, our defensive staff, but the players really make the difference. And they made a decision that they were going to do something about it, and they have. And, again, just really pleased with the leadership that we got from James and Isaac in making that transition.
One of the other players who will be playing in his last game is a player whose barometer in terms of how successful he's been is the fact that we never talk about him.
Yes.
He's your long snapper, Scott Daly, and he's just been terrific throughout his career for you.
This is his 5th year, a 4-year starter for us, and Scott Daly has been absolutely impeccable in everything that he's done. He's our long snapper on punts. He snaps for field goal PAT, and to have somebody for 4 years as a starter, first of all, is incredible. Never to get injured, always on coverage teams. Is just an incredible legacy to leave here at Notre Dame. And anything that you do, to be a 4-year starter and to do his job, and that's really at the end of the day, he does his job every single time he's asked to do it, and he's just been incredible for us.
Now you have to make a transition this week, getting ready to take on a very talented Virginia Tech team. They've been averaging 444 yards and 33 points per game, and you have spent 2 weeks speaking a different language, the language of stopping the triple option, and now you have to get back to stop a very capable and talented offense. How difficult has that transition been?
Well, I mean, we'll find out on Saturday. I mean, we're playing a really good football team. You know that you're going to have to transition, but the fact of the matter is they had an option team last week as well.
And they lost.
And they lost.
Georgia Tech.
And so they're making the transition back as well. But, we worked hard at it this week. Some of the things that I wanted to do was get our first offense against our first defense, and really get the speed back up for our guys so they could get the speed of, our offense against, their defense and not have it just go right to demo and scout team. So I think that helped us. And then, again, we've had a lot of weeks of preparation. So you would think that that's going to carry you over. It's not like it's the second week of the season. You know, we've got a lot of work under our belt. So our guys will bounce back, and they're excited to play, obviously, their last home game. And, you know, we know we've got a very good opponent on our hands, but, you know, I think our guys are up for the challenge.
And as much focus, and deservedly so, is on your ability to switch back to stop their high-powered offense. They come in here 15th in the nation in total defense. So this may well be the best defense you faced all year.
Yeah, I think, you know, Bud Foster is, you know, regarded as one of the great defensive coordinators in the country and has been for, you know, a few decades now. So there'll be a challenge. There's no question about that. But, you know, again, I think, you know, we've executed so well over the last, since the bye week in terms of finishing off drives. We're 14 out of our last 17 drives that we've completed with points, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown. So the execution is much better on offense. Obviously, defensively, we're doing a really good job. We won the kicking game easily. You know, those are the three phases. We got to continue to do that. But I think what overrides all of that is, you know, playing with that toughness that we need to play with, and playing with it on Saturday. You're going to need it because it's going to be great conditions to play football at Notre Dame in November. It might not be great to watch it in, but it's going to be great to play it in. It's the kind of weather we like.
Yeah, bring a coat. Right now, 30 degrees, somewhere in there, maybe some lake effect snow.
It's beautiful.
Some of the classic games have taken.
I mean, it's what you look at when we come into our dining hall. You know, you got the picture of the Penn State Notre Dame game with the snow in the air. So, you know, our guys will be fine. They're excited about it. That, you know, the one thing you have to be aware of is the wind, and there could be gusts of up 40 miles an hour. So, you know, that influences a bit the passing game and the kicking game. We'll see how that goes.
What a great segue to this Tire Rack commercial. So much for 80-degree football game days, folks. It's time to start thinking about tires, winter tires. Our friends at TireRack.com, presenting sponsors of the Brian Kelly Radio Show, have what's right for you. Headquartered just a few minutes from Notre Dame Stadium, their experts know a thing or two about driving through winter's worst. And when they're not driving in it, they're on their test track or maneuvering around on the ice at a local hockey rink for winter tire testing. They have, in fact, done that. Also, you can get your tires right. TireRack.com. Find, deliver, install smarter. We have lots of questions for Coach. We have special guests as well. So let's get our first break in. We'll be back with more of the Brian Kelly Radio Show right after this timeout. We are back on the Brian Kelly Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House, presented by TireRack.com. Lots of questions for Coach, and we'll start with a tough one from Byron from Granger. Who is your favorite sister-in-law?
Are you kidding me? Mary from Arizona. Right? Is that the right answer? Okay, thank you.
Joe Suarez is here from Fairmont, West Virginia. Coach Kelly, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you grade your young secondary?
Well, if you grade by their inexperience and how they're playing, a 10. I just think that what they've done is extraordinary for true freshmen. So I would grade them as a 10.
Robin O'Toole's down here from Niles, Michigan. Not a question, a compliment. Robin loves the fact that this year's team and coaching staff actually sings the alma mater with the students. In past years, they only swayed with the music, but now everybody sings. So I know you actually do work on that.
We do. When we're in camp, we have the guys make sure that they know the alma mater, and we hand out the lyrics to it and the words, so they make sure they learn it.
And, in fact, in your main meeting room in the Goog, it's now on the wall as well.
It is. I think it's important.
I was going over it again today, and I've been here 34 years. Chuck Sossman from Granger's here. He always is. Virginia Tech, strong blitz, defense, multiple looks. What are your comments on their defense and their looks?
A little bit different from last year. They are certainly I would call them unorthodox in a sense. They do some things that most defenses don't do. You don't see it every week. But they do like to pressure. But I would say more than anything else, experience in the back end of their defense. Really good defensive backs with a lot of experience that allows them to play a lot of man-to-man coverage.
Paul's here from South Bend, and we talked about Scott Daly. This is the last season for your long snapper. What are your plans for the future?
We brought in John Shannon, who's one of the best long snappers in the country, who redshirted this year. We think he's elite and will pick up. We hope he's going to pick up where Scott left off.
That has become really a very valued and a talent that kids now go after. There are camps and coaches just for long snappers.
Well, Shannon scholarshiped. We scholarshiped him last year. He's out of Chicago, the suburbs of Chicago, and he's redshirting this year. So we value that position to the point where we've invested a scholarship to Notre Dame in it.
Bill is here from Granger. Mike McGlinchey has had a number of procedure calls during the Army game. You mentioned at halftime that the other teams were calling signals similar to Notre Dame. Please, causing a penalty that could be a penalty. Please comment on that. It did cause a penalty finally.
Yeah, I mean, the defense knows your cadence, and they try sometimes to call their movements up front, and it sounds just like our cadence. So if they're doing it to deliberately draw you offside, the officials should call it. I thought there was a couple of occasions that it was fairly deliberate. They didn't seem to think so. We've just got to be more calm up front. We've got to be locked into our own cadence, and that's something that Mike's got to work on. He knows that, and he'll be better at it as he works through it next year.
Our intrepid freshman cameraman from Brooklyn, Natural Baptiste, has submitted his weekly question. Coach, which player do you feel is the most like you?
What player is the most like me? Well, I think, when I played, I was, pretty locked in, competitive, knew the game, and that's Niles Morgan. I played, linebacker, so I'd like to say, in some respects, Niles' personality in terms of the way he comes to the field is kind of like the way I came to the field.
Now, your college teammates come to at least one, I think 2 games this year. Each year. They told me that the first...
I'm not as good a player, obviously, but not even near. But you mentioned personality. And
you said businesslike.
Businesslike.
They told me you came to the first team meeting that they remember in a coat and tie back in your college days.
Well, I can remember that most of those guys were not as focused about playing as I was.
Tom Hensler's here from Houston. Coach, would you prefer moving extra point attempts back to where they now kick from in the NFL?
No. The kickers are not developed enough. I think they would break down during the season. They're not physically developed enough. Their legs aren't. And I think you would lose your kickers. A lot of the kickers here that we have in the college ranks are young and kicking early in their careers. They're freshmen and sophomores generally. And I think it would cause you to generally have specialists at that position and cause you to have scholarship kickers for long kicks, kickoffs, and then for field goal extra points. So I wouldn't be in favor of it.
Brian from Pennsylvania, do you think your defensive line will be able to control the line of scrimmage on Saturday?
Well, I think they will. I mean, I think you're going to see a lot from Jerron Jones in his last game. I think he's going to be hard to handle. I mean, the option game is a lot different from zone schemes. Isaac Rochelle's going to play really well. Jerry Tiller's going to play really well. I like our front. I think they're playing very, very well. I think they'll continue to play very well.
We get a number of questions each week on the Tire Rack portal on TireRack.com. Alex Davis from York, Pennsylvania, emailed us this question. Coach, I watch every press conference on Tuesday. Who chooses the color of Gatorade that goes on the podium, and why do you never take a drink of it? Can you take a drink of it at the next press conference and end the 7-year slump of not drinking the Gatorade?
So it's the visiting team colors for some reason. It's a silly thing that Mike Birch put together, our sports information director. And anything that's silly that I don't like, I just blame on Birch anyways. So maybe we will. Maybe we should do that. Just crack it open
and drink it.
And make it a ritual that, we're drinking out of the opposition, and that's how we feel about it.
I'll have to investigate if the questioner has any connections to Gatorade or not.
Yeah, maybe that's true too.
Edward Durham, Fast Eddie Durham from Mesa, Arizona. If you want to get a Notre Dame legend like Johnny Lou Jack or Era to speak to the team or at a pep rally, what are the steps you have to take to make it happen?
Well, first of all, generally speaking, just ask, because all of our former Notre Dame student athletes or athletes or coaches have always come back, and they always will come back if you give them enough time. Some have contacts that we'll go through. Reggie Brooks, for example, is generally a great contact to go go through. But some we have direct contact to. But by and large, if there's that need, or I feel like there's a former player that I want, or a coach, they are generally ready to come back. As you know, Rocky Blyer spoke to our team before the Army game, and he was absolutely fabulous in talking to the team. And, Purple Heart recipient, Bronze Star, member of the 66 National Championship team, 4 Super Bowls, and I thought he was fabulous. He talked to our football team, and he was very humble and everything he talked about. And at the end, he left him with a great line. He goes, "Oh, and by the way, Notre Dame's never lost to Army and Navy in the same year since the 1945." And I thought that was perfect. And he's just a great guy.
Roger Fairchild from Mishawaka has emailed this question. Coach, we seem to have fewer injuries this year. Any thoughts as to why?
We did our due diligence on this in the offseason. I was not going to go through another season. So a lot of it was the work that we did leading into the season with our sports performance staff, our strength and conditioning staff. Paul Longo, Rob Hunt have a lot to do with why we are where we're at today. And I think, again, the development, Jack Swarbrick's development through our sports science department has helped in a large degree as well. So those 3 entities coming together, our sports science, strength and conditioning, athletic training staff, all working together have made this a great year.
Dale Delisle, who is here but decided to tweet a question at us. Coach, going forward, what is your greatest coaching attribute as it relates to a team that has struggled but has great promise?
Stay consistent with the message that you want your football team to follow. I mean, I think the worst thing that you can do is come up with something new each week. I mean, be consistent each and every week as to what you want, because you'll get what you demand. And we demand the same thing each and every week from this team. And we're really close to getting all of those things. The last piece I thought we got last week, and that was that mental and physical toughness. Now we just got to go play. And I'm pretty confident that this team's going to play well over the next couple of weeks.
Fans, Norfolk Southern wants you to make the next game. Slow down, look both ways, and never try to beat a train. Cross railroad tracks carefully. Get home safely. To learn more, go to braineysworld.com. The Brian Kelly Radio Show continues from O'Rourke's Public House right after this timeout. Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Radio Show. A special treat once again. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but all 4 of Notre Dame's quarterbacks are here for tonight's show. First, Malik Zaire to my left, Deshaun Kaiser, Montgomery Van Gorder, and Brandon Winbush. See, you talk to him more than anybody else during a game. He doesn't talk to you at all? Never?
We
Never?
talk a lot.
It's a one-way conversation, right? Or he's just headsets. You don't talk at all. It's just headsets.
I just listen.
Not at all. So if you know deep down that the play, there's been some mistake in the way the play's been relayed to you, what do you say? Or has that never, ever happened?
No.
Never happened.
It's never happened.
Never happened.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
It's Denbrock's fault. That's good to know. Getting signals from him, do you ever just break down and laugh? Just in practice?
Well, Gummy and I are...
Does he got a move that makes you laugh?
Gummy's a goofy guy, and us being good friends, he always finds a way, especially after a big play, to do something goofy on his sideline. You catch me laughing after a big play when I'm looking over at him.
You've been here a long time taking signals from him, too. You got any stories at all that you can tell us?
He's pretty good. He's a pretty unique talent. If anything, he's pretty fast, so you got to be able to keep up with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have as much pressure as they do. I mean, just from a layman's term, I'd almost rather be the guy trying to be quarterback than the guy putting the plays in, because you've got to get him instantaneously. You have like 18 signals you go through. No, you guys all understand them. No one else does. That's the design. But if you mess it up, everything gets messed up. So, I mean, do you feel any of that pressure, or did you?
Maybe when I first started, but I learned from the best, Charlie Fissinger, who was here my freshman year, so I didn't really go into it blind. So That's not that much pressure. When you get used to it.
Now, Brandon, you had to play last year when Malik went down. This year, kind of unusual, a sophomore. We don't use the term red shirt, but that's basically what it is year to preserve more eligibility. What's this year been like for you, knowing that you're not going to play, but giving you all that time to observe and learn? How's it helped you be a better quarterback?
It's been amazing.
That's got lots of buttons to push here.
Thanks, Gummy. It's been pretty amazing. I'm speaking from Gummy's headphone, but
See, this is what great teamwork.
it's great teamwork.
Right,
Yeah.
it's an audible right here.
I mean, Deshaun and I were
Okay,
speaking
we got
about
yours
it.
now, but that's
Oh,
good.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Gum. Deshaun and I were speaking about it a couple of days ago that, coming into freshman year, you didn't have any knowledge of, running the offense and redshirting, you're building that knowledge. But sophomore year, I understood more of our offense and, I was able to dissect more of it and understand it in a deeper, in deeper depth, in more depth. So.
And folks at home are getting to take a look at your touchdown run last year against Texas. You really had kind of an impressive debut. Without replay, your first play would have been a deep pass to Will Fuller, but replay took it away. Then if I remember correctly, you threw a touchdown pass on the second pass you threw, but that was taken back by penalty, so you went, okay, I'll just run it in.
Right. I used my feet on that one, but the one to EQ, that was all my fault. There's illegal men down the field, so I got to know, I got to understand football better.
And, of course, Malik, in that game, you became just the fifth Notre Dame quarterback to open the season with a 300-yard game. You've had two starts in your career where you didn't get hurt. You were the MVP of the Music City Bowl, and then 300 yards against Texas. I know this year has been tough. I know everybody wants to thank you for the way you've hung in, your enthusiasm, because it's been really, really difficult. We don't know what's happening next year, but if everybody's still here next year, I don't think there's ever been a more talented collection of quarterbacks at any school in the country. In fact, this year, Notre Dame's the only team that had two players who had started against and beaten a Big Five team last year. So just talk about, from a quarterbacking perspective, basically how you've been able to deal with it and continue to work hard. I was at practice yesterday, and you were just flinging the ball all over the place, right on the money, and how you think you're probably a better quarterback now, even though you haven't gotten to play as much as you wanted to.
I think it's just a learning experience, more so than anything, in terms of just going through things that don't go your way. I think it's important to always look at things from a mature angle and look from a growth perspective. This is a new experience for me, and being able to try to be there for my team as much as I can and allowed to be is all I can really ask for, especially with the circumstances of how the team is doing this year. But the more focus you put on your teammates and doing what you can to help your teammates to get better is something that is different, but it makes you unique, and everybody time comes at some point, and you just have to be able to take advantage of it and do the most you can to help the team win football games, and that's why we all come here.
And I know this is a really close room, and you guys have you all know what Malik's going through, what you're all going through, and throughout it all, even though there's a lot of competition there, this room has remained really, really close. Tell me how you guys have pulled that off.
Yeah, I think that goes to show why we've been so successful as a unit. The leadership from Coach Sanford has allowed us to recognize that although there's one person out in the field, it's a group, collective experience to get us prepared for that game. Obviously, one guy typically takes the start and plays throughout the whole game, but up until that point, it takes all four of us to push each other, to ask the right questions in the game plan to get us, prepared for games on Saturdays. And I think that that mentality that's pushed down from Coach Kelly to Coach Denbrock to Coach Sanford is what allows each individual position room to be successful and to continue to have sustainability within that success.
You're still a really young quarterback, and I think people forget that. You still haven't played 2 full seasons as a starting quarterback at this level. Numbers are pretty good. You're third all-time in passing yards per game at Notre Dame, 5th all-time in touchdown passes, 8th all-time in total offense. You've passed for 5,354 yards. You're up to 23rd in passing efficiency nationally, 13th in points scored. So you've been having a really good career and a really good year, but I know no one is harder on you. I mean, sometimes people think that coach gets on you a little bit, but no one's harder on you than you are. I mean, I've seen all the post-game interviews, and the first thing you start with are the things that you did wrong in your mind. What's the ceiling for you right now? What do you need to do to play to come out after a game and say, I was happy with that?
You know, that's the cool thing about football. There's never going to be that time. You know, this game is so unique in the sense that there's always going to be something you can do better, and that's the reason we come out and we compete. It's the beauty of sport. And with that, like you said, my standards are higher than anyone else's, and I think that was the reason I chose to come to Notre Dame, is to be coached by one of the best, a guy who has, 25 plus years of head coaching and has been around the block, and it was going to push me to better myself every time I'm out there. And I think through this season, obviously with it not going the way we wanted to in a couple of experiences, is allowed me to really look myself in the eyes through the mirror to figure out who I am and what success looks like to me. To go out and win every game, but maybe have a couple balls in the dirt. Is that successful? What is my standard? And I think that each week I learn something new about myself through that. Like I said, we really aren't where we want to be right now in the season from our goals at the beginning of the season. But in a sense, I've learned more about winning in this quote unquote losing season than I did last year through a bunch of successes. I got thrown to the fire, and with a bunch of experienced seniors, we were able to come out successful. But in this season, I've learned what it takes to win through losses.
Now, Brandon, you're really talented, and everybody's impatient. Everybody wants it to come right now. You still have 3 seasons left. So have you, and I'll borrow a line from Coach, it's a Broadway show. You only need 1 season, really, to make your mark. You want more. But have you come around to being able to be patient and understand that your time will come, or is it still tough to be the guy in waiting, so to speak?
It definitely gets tough at points, obviously, sitting there and waiting behind these guys. But like I said, being in this group of guys and the 2 other guys, Nolan and Ian, that we have in the quarterback room, it just makes everything easier because you're having so much fun with them when you're out on the field, when you're off the field. So I understand that my time will come, and I always harp that patience is a key virtue of mine that I admire of myself. So like I said, my time will come, and when it does, like Malik said, you have to be able to and willing to take advantage of it. So,
in the last segment, we were talking about how we haven't talked about Scott Daly. You know who else we haven't talked about much? We haven't talked about the holder much. And that also is a good thing, because regrettably, we talked about the holder last year. We haven't talked about the holder this year, which is Gummy. Mr. Van Gorder here has been the holder, and you've been pretty flawless. So just talk about that. And again, you talk about pressure. That's a play that has to be executed perfectly every time, or there's an immediate penalty. So did you do this before you got to the collegiate level, or is this just a skill that you've picked up since you've come to college?
I was the back holder at my high school, actually. We had another guy that focused on that and did that. What? No.
Coach says he was told
I was trying to get on the
he was
field.
the starter. And he said he tried to get on the field.
But
that's
yeah,
good.
So
I started, Coach. Yeah.
I saw this past spring, I saw an opportunity to get on the field, and as a football player, I don't think anybody moves on in their career not wanting to play. So regardless of whether it was the starting quarterback or anything like that, I saw a place where I could help the team, and I try to come in every day and just do my job. And Scott's the best snapper in the country. He hasn't messed up in 4 years, like Coach Kelly said the other day. So it's just been an honor to work with him and Justin, who's one of the hardest workers on the team.
And certainly it doesn't hurt to have a quarterback taking the snaps, because the other team always has to be ready that you can make another play with the ball. So here, academics always very important. I like your major, of course, film, television, and theater. And you took, I've talked to some of your classmates, you took a lot of theater classes, acting classes. And as part of those classes, you have to act. So what's the favorite role that you have portrayed in class so far? What did you get the most enjoyment out of?
I like the challenge, actually, of being able to act from being in my scooter when I was hurt. I only had to use the top half, so It gave me a different experience in trying to work my body in ways when I wasn't able to,
Wow, that's interesting.
able to move around a lot. So
Do you remember any rolls that you did from your scooter?
I had to like be sentimental with like my girlfriend.
In the scooter.
And it was hard being able to chase her around the room when I was in the scooter. So
And it wasn't a comedy. It was a dramatic part.
yeah, so try to make it work.
Somehow I think you made it work. I would love to see video of that. That was probably terrific. Deshaun, you're in the Mendoza College of Business, majoring in finance. What's been the most challenging thing of that?
Everything.
Everything?
Yeah. The idea of finance is a lot better than actually being in it. I didn't understand that the finance world of, especially when it comes to academics and being in Mendoza, is its own like group. It's its own constant daily drive. Those people keeping up with current events and all this stuff. I walk into class and the first 20 minutes is catching up on the markets and stuff, and I'm worried about Virginia Tech, not what's going on with Apple. So it's definitely been pretty challenging, but once again, it's the reason we come here to challenge ourselves.
Well, and again, I know you mentioned it on Wednesday. You have put additional time in to get your performance there up to the level where it needs to be there as well. Not that you were struggling or anything, but you've had to put in some more time so that you know what's going on with Apple.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're going to be able to succeed at an undergrad like Mendoza, you're going to have to do a little bit of extra work outside of just trying to ace whatever test is in front of you. In order to go to the next level, you're going to have to put in a little extra time to perfect your craft.
Now, Montgomery was the captain of both his high school football and basketball teams, and you're also in Mendoza, majoring in management consulting. So I'm getting a theme here. You like to lead, and you kind of like to explain to people what they need to do. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I think I would say for myself that since I started playing sports, I've had examples in my life, guys like Matt Ryan, who I've learned from, that are just natural leaders. And I've been able to pick up things from them. And I feel like in that setting, it's come naturally to me, being the captain in high school. I mean, that was a little while ago. But, and then management consulting, we had 2 presentations this week. So I guess I would say I'm more of an extroverted guy. So that kind of setting just comes naturally to me, I guess. I
got to say, the longer you've been out of high school, the more recent it starts to appear to you. I love the long time ago since you were in high school. It was a long time since I was in high school. Brandon, you're also in the Mendoza College of Business. Have you picked a major in business yet?
Shout out to Mr. Mendoza, by the way. I haven't declared yet. We declare in February, but right now I'm intending on doing accountancy. So
that's not easy.
Not at all. Not at all. It hasn't been easy for me yet so far this semester, but I enjoy going through the struggle right now. I speak to Deshaun and Gummy about it, and they both struggle through accounting, but the conversations kind of help me get through it and understand that to go through the struggle, I'll eventually reach my success.
So I would imagine the fact it's the #1 rated undergraduate business school had something to do when you were mulling over where you were going to go.
Absolutely. Indeed.
All right.
Indeed.
We've got lots of audience questions for our quarterbacks and, of course, the dreaded but always hilarious 60-second drill. That's coming up next on the Brian Kelly Radio Show, presented by TireRack.com, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House, presented by TireRack.com. Lots of audience questions for our quarterbacks. Colin Castman's here from Norristown, Pennsylvania. As a young quarterback yourselves, what would you tell young quarterbacks to focus on so that they can be the best quarterback? What would you say, Malik?
For me, I would be you got to find your strength and really work on honing that ability that you can do better than everything else you can do. I think focusing on your strengths and really mastering that and then developing from there will definitely help you get to being the best quarterback you can be.
Deshaun?
I'm going to say the cliche phrase that someone's always working. Obviously, we're here with, Malik and I are both from around the same area, but we got a guy from Jersey, a guy from Georgia. So if you want to be among the best, there's always going to be someone out there somewhere else working just as hard as you are and even harder. So you always got to push yourself thinking about the people who you're going to meet with the head rather than who's right next to you.
Gummy?
I would say always take the opportunity to learn, because if you're not a student of the game, then you're never going to get to where you want to be. So, for example, take a guy, like I idolize Drew Brees. So take a guy like Drew Brees and watch what he does, look at his strengths, look how he prepares, look how he does all those different things, and try to do that yourself.
And as an accumulation of all their answers, I would say find your competitive advantage and, like Malik said, hone that thing. So that's the one thing that you're good at. But also, obviously, you're gonna, try to round out your game to be, the most well-rounded quarterback that you can be.
Brandon Liss is here. Quarterbacks, is it difficult to memorize all of Gummy's signals?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Our first camp, they throw you out there. You're in the meeting room, and everything's, you have big eyes, and you're so excited to get out there and practice, and they're going through all the plays and putting them up on the board, and you're having a hard time memorizing them on the board. And then we go, and our first drill is tempo, which we're moving as fast as we possibly can. There's loud music blaring. Coach Kelly's behind you. He's already in you, and you just get out there for the first time, and Gummy's just going away like he's sitting there signaling to a bunch of veterans. So the signals are always a tough thing to pick up on early, but then once you get towards the end of the season, it becomes pretty fun to create new signals for new plays.
Now, you can't, yell at them. Have you ever been on the sideline putting in the play and they don't get it, and you do it again and they still don't get it, and you're kind of like,
Yes.
That's
It's very frustrating at times. And a lot of the times we get into arguments. Not a lot, but it happens, yes.
so you can't say that's not what you said. So that's not what you signaled, or is that not what your hand said, or
That also
you moved your
happens.
elbow the wrong way? Right now, do you guys have a favorite Gummy signal?
The dingo.
Z score.
No, the dingo.
Show
Yeah.
us Z
What,
score.
play it.
yeah.
What, you can't do it? You can't do it?
It's disclosed.
Yeah, we can't.
That's right,
We can't,
that's
we
right.
can't show too much here, but there's some funny signals out there between Gummy pulling out dance moves and also hopping around like a kangaroo.
So has there ever been, you're in a game and he's doing the signal and you want to just laugh, but you can't? You got a helmet on, so I guess you could.
Yeah, you get your smirk in.
All right, 60-second drill. You guys have always been great at this. You can collaborate, just throw out an answer. You don't all have to answer each question. We'll start with some of the easier ones. First car you ever drove?
My grandma's car, the test drive before I got my license.
Really? You remember what kind of car it was?
It was like a gray, Mercedes thing.
Ooh,
that she had.
a grandma car. Okay.
Grandma car.
2002 Cadillac STS, all red. Her name was Rosie.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. She was nice. She was real nice.
I think I had a 08 Honda Civic, white. It was white, yeah.
And then you totaled it.
I did total it.
How'd you total it?
So long.
Okay.
Someone ran a red light.
But somehow it
2012.
was your fault.
It wasn't me.
Okay.
2012 Nissan Sentra.
And you totaled that too.
Not that one.
Sheesh.
Okay, I don't know if I have you guys drive me home tonight. Favorite musical group or artist? We'll come back this way.
Coldplay.
George Strait.
Thomas Rhett.
Come on.
I feel like mine wouldn't really compare to everybody else's. I like a Tribe Called Quest.
Okay. Going back this way. Your favorite spot to hang out at Notre Dame?
In front of Touchdown Jesus.
Grotto.
The Goog.
My room.
All different names. Now, I think we shouldn't even ask this question to this group, but I will. Best nickname on the team and who has it?
Gummy.
No.
Absolutely. Gummy. He's 22 with a red beard and he goes by Gummy.
Well, that's why I call them nicknames. He's wearing a red hat, too, because it's the Red Hat Brigade. All right. You agree?
I'm trying to
I would
think
say Trevor Rulin's nickname is Big Snack.
Okay.
It is?
That's a good one.
That's
Brandon,
it.
you can get in on this.
I'd have to go with Gummy.
You have to go with Gummy. All right. How about assistant coach that is most like Coach Kelly?
You got one?
He's unique. There's
Yeah,
no
he's
one
one
like
of a
him.
kind.
He's one of a kind.
He's one of a kind. Are you thinking?
I
Malik, or just-
plead the fifth.
You plead the fifth?
Yeah,
And the sixth. They refuse to answer. All right. Thing you hear most often in practice from Coach Kelly.
No comment.
No comment.
Get out.
Rocker step.
Rocker.
Rocker
Yeah,
step.
probably
Rocker
rocker
step.
step.
That one's consistent.
All right. Our guest last week said, Deshaun!
Yeah.
You've heard that a few times.
Just a couple.
Hardest hitter on the team. Now, you guys don't get hit that much.
Nico Fertitta,
Okay.
by far. By far.
Most frequently Niles.
Nico's
I mean, yeah,
a
Nico.
buck,
literally,
80. sitting at 5'10.5", but he'll hit anyone, no matter how big they
That's
are.
kind of part of his family culture, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Now, best dancer on the team.
Coach Kelly.
Now,
I'm sure you saw. I'm sure
yes, you were his coach, though, weren't you? Miami game, national TV.
I was trying.
You were right behind
It
him.
wasn't very coachable, but it's all right.
So, because we did notice, we thought it was already planned that he would be going in the direct opposite direction that you guys were.
Right.
But then you stepped up, you were right behind him,
Right.
and tried to get him in unison.
Yeah.
It worked.
It almost got there.
Almost.
Then at the one time in your career you wanted the cameras to stay on, they got off before the correction.
It took a little minute, but he got it.
Worst dancer on the team.
No, the real answer is Coach Kelly, that one.
Do we have a worst answer? Me.
Best comedian on the team.
KJ Stefferson. That guy's
Who you
hilarious.
going with?
I say Jay Hayes.
Jay Hayes.
Yeah, it's
All right.
definitely
That's a good
Jay.
one, yep.
He's a popular selection for that question. Best comedian on the coaching staff. Funniest guy on the coaching staff.
Coach Easton.
Yeah, Coach Easton.
And see that.
What?
What?
I think his passion.
Hopefully he doesn't
stands.
hear
Yeah,
this.
it stands
Why?
out.
We come from a different angle as quarterbacks where
They're-
we're behind him as he's coaching up the guys. There's a couple chuckles here and there.
Yeah, because I'm not sure the offensive line agreed with that selection.
Exactly.
But you have nothing to worry about because it's their job to protect you guys. They mess up, they get in trouble. So he can hear that all that he wants. Best dresser on the team.
Brandon.
Brandon, unfortunately.
Stand up.
It is what it
Well,
is.
you are styling. There's no question about that. How about the worst dresser on the team?
Alex Bars.
Wow. Throwing your lineman
Alex
under the
Barr.
bus.
Shots.
Yeah. Alex Bars has a pair of Monday, Wednesday, Friday sweats and a pair of Tuesday, Thursday sweats.
It just rotates them.
It just rotates them.
At least they get
Rotates.
washed in between.
Yeah,
Oh,
of course.
well, that's good. So they're always
Exactly.
clean
Throw
sweats.
them in a loop, they come back, and you put them back on for the next day.
Everything you say is funny. You got anything to add to that? You pick your answers. I know that. You go with that?
Yeah, I'd probably go with that.
All right, this one, I got a couple just for quarterbacks. Who has the best hands on the team?
Easy money.
I'll say Gummy.
Really?
Yes. By far.
Best hands. I was thinking
Hands
receiver,
team.
but it's Gummy, huh?
Hands team.
Gummy's hands aren't bad. They're not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's a close second to myself.
You have the best hands on the team.
Yeah.
Brandon, your
I'm
look
holding
of
my tongue.
disbelief. They could. Who do you think's got the best hands on
You
the
know
team?
that's really good hands is Terry Folston.
Okay,
He does have really good hands.
it's good.
It's a good call.
Another one for you guys. Are the rare occasions that you huddle on the field and
Yep.
the play comes in, who in the huddle, other than you, talks the most when they're not supposed to be talking?
Mike McGlinchey.
Really?
Yeah. Mike thinks he's a quarterback as soon as we get in that huddle. I mean, he tells me the play before I even get it sometimes.
So he's helping.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying.
You ever had an issue trying to call the play and somebody else is talking?
I think it works pretty smooth.
Looks pretty smooth. All right. Gummy's looking at me like, do not come to me with that under any circumstances. All right, Brent, I'll let you off on that. Yeah, I'll let you
haven't
off on
been
that.
in many huddles yet, but
All right. You're in practice all the time. All right. Best thing about playing for Notre Dame?
there's so many. But the challenge of being great at everything, and there's nothing less.
I think I said the same thing last year, but I'm going to stick with it. Just our teammates on a daily basis. Just you never know what you're going to get, who you're going to learn more about, and just the growing experience that we get to go through with each other every day is just remarkable.
The responsibilities that are given to us. I think that's something you don't know that you're walking into, but once you get here, it's quickly thrown at you that you're not the average college student, you're not the average 20-year-old, and the responsibilities given to us by the university and by Coach Kelly are expected to be played out the right way. And I think that's kind of one unique thing about this place, is that essentially you're a professional in the way that you carry yourself and everything you do, because you're representing something so much bigger than the average college.
Really?
I'd probably say it'd definitely be the teammates. I've been through a lot of locker rooms, and the guys are great every year, and they're the heart and soul of what we all are part of each and every day. So there's nothing like being able to work out with people that go through the same kind of things as you, and it helps you get a better feeling about what's going on.
All right, guys, it's not often we get an entire position group back for a second year. Thank you. You did a great job. Really appreciate it. Your Notre Dame quarterbacks, everybody. Back with more after this.
Door heating.
We're back at the Brian Kelly Radio Show. Brandon List from South Bend is here. What has this senior class meant to you, Coach?
I would say more than anything else, they have overcome more adversity probably than any group that I've had. They've had some great success. They've had some rough spots, and certainly I think Deshaun probably said it the best. I don't think that there's been a class that has been challenged as much as this group. So I think when I look back on this group, I'll find in my own eyes a resilient group of guys that will be so successful because of everything that they've experienced.
Thank you, Coach. The quarterbacks were so good. We have one more break. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this.
There are countless not very smart things you can do in your car. Watching Notre Dame football while driving, doing push-ups after the Irish score while driving, dancing a victory jig while driving. But with TireRack.com, it's easy to be smart about your tires. Use our test results and consumer reviews to find the best tire for your car. Use our comparison tools to choose the right tires for you. Then have them shipped and installed fast. TireRack.com, official tire experts of Notre Dame football.
Join us at O'Rourke's Public House, home of the Brian Kelly Radio Show, to cheer on the Fighting Irish before, during, and after all home games. O'Rourke's Irish decor, delicious menu items, and wide variety of beer selections are sure to enhance your game day experience. Open at 8 a.m. on game days, you can watch Saturday's college football action on any of O'Rourke's 15 TVs, including a 92-inch projector screen. O'Rourke's Public House, located directly across from Notre Dame Stadium at the corner of Angela and Eddy Street in the Eddy Street Commons Center.
Bank of America and the Notre Dame Alumni Association bring you the Notre Dame Bank AmeriCard Cash Rewards Visa Card. You can earn cash back on purchases, groceries, and gas, and even get a $100 cash rewards bonus offer. Head online to my.nd.edu/credit card and learn more today. 2 card designs available, either the football helmet or the Golden Dome. The Notre Dame Bank AmeriCard Cash Rewards Visa Card. Online at my.nd.edu/credit card.
Take on any galaxy and take on the mission to enter Rogue One, a Star Wars story, Nissan's Ultimate Access Sweepstakes. You can win a VIP trip for 2 to see the opening showing at El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. Enter at nissanusa.com/Star Wars Rogue One and visit your local Nissan dealer to see the new 2017 Rogue. Nissan, innovation that excites. No purchase necessary. Ends 11/27/16. Open to residents of the USDC 18 and older. For full details, including odds of winning and limitations on entry and prize, see official rules at nissanusa.com/Star Wars Rogue One.
Well, we're going to wrap up the 7th season of the Brian Kelly Radio Show with keys to the game against Virginia Tech.
Well, obviously all year it's been take care of the football for us and defensively don't give up the big play. But more importantly, play physical football for 4 quarters. We'll end up on the right side of the scoreboard.
Coach, thank you again. You always bring your A game to the show. Really appreciate it.
Great
Thanks
job,
to
Jack.
all the fans.
Thanks
to Bob Henning, our engineer, Matt Embry back in the studios, the FIM crew, but most of all the fans. We'll be back again next year, but root the Irish on the victory Saturday against Virginia Tech. Good night, everybody, and go Irish.
The Brian Kelly Radio Show at O'Rourke's Public House is presented by the experts at TireRack.com and is brought to you by Team Notre Dame partners Coca-Cola, Under Armour, and Gatorade, and is also brought to you by Del